Welcome to Three Count Commentaries. How is every episode of AEW Dynamite the best episode of AEW Dynamite? Let's ponder that question as we go through the review. So, all right. So, match one. My boy Blue Justice, Yuji Nagata, takes a L wrestling everyone's favorite Wild Thing, Jon Moxley. Let's talk about this Wild Thing situation for a minute. So Jon Moxley comes out to a brand new theme song, a song that came out in what 1967. I mean, when I see Jon Moxley, I think metal, hard, something death metal, something cool. I don't think a montage from Forrest Gump. That's not really what I think when I think about Jon Moxley. I mean, it's certainly an artistic choice. It's an artistic decision, and please do not attack me. I understand. Onita used to use Wild Thing. I know what they're trying to do. I just don't care. It doesn't fit his character. Could you imagine, tough as nails guy comes out to like beans and cornbread had a fight. Beans and cornbread, it's all right. I mean, that's the kind of same shit I'm dealing with here. I'm just kind of sitting here, and I was just like, wow, what an artistic decision to turn Jon Moxley into some whatever. Hey, it ain't my money, dog. Tony Khan is just throwing that money around. I'm cool with, you want to license music. That's not a bad idea. It is what it is. It's all gonna get dubbed over on the net. Where I'm sorry. It is what it is. If you're willing to pay for it, go for it. But if you're gonna license music, license it. License cool music. License something that fits the characters. Stop trying to create something cool. The WWE, they typically don't like to license music, not just because it's expensive, but because if a song becomes popular or whatever, they get the money off of that because they own the song. That's the difference between businesses trying to create a new revenue stream and somebody who is like, money is no option because it's a plaything for a billionaire. They son of a billionaire, and therefore they just throw money out. But whatever. Yuji Nagata really didn't do that much of anything. He kind of led the match. The match was pretty short, actually. So I was surprised by the length of it. I think it was probably about 7 or 8 minutes, maybe. Nagata got a lot of offense in, then he just took a couple of knee strikes and a double arm DDT, and it was pinned, and that was it. This was for the IWGP United States Championship, one of the most useless belts in all of New Japan. Nobody cares about it. Nagata is one of my, he's a guy that I really like. I like him, but who cares? I like the respect bow at the end. I think Moxley might have hard weighed and getting busted open. Nagata probably got him a little bit. So we got to talk about the Inner Circle. So because they came up next. So Ortiz, Hager, and Guevara. They basically talked about MJF showed his true colors, which I pretty much felt he did 2 months ago. And he said that he had Santana detained for stabbing him with a fork, which is a bitch move. I don't understand why he would get, if he stabbed him with a fork during the match, how was that any different than when he did anything else to him during the match? I don't know. Did he stab him with a fork after the match? Did I miss that? Did he stab him with, in the comment section below, let me know if he stabbed him with a fork during the match or after the match. I only watched the match once. I think I probably did watch it twice. I just don't remember watching it the second time. In any event, Santana wasn't there. So Hager basically says that you think you may have won, but you didn't kill us. You failed. I mean, they won, so they won. Then Sammy Guevara says that they want a rematch or they're going to put them in their grave. And I was, that's a bit extreme. It's a bit extreme to say you're going to put somebody in their grave. It's a little extreme, dog. So then later, the Pinnacle comes out, and Maxwell Jacob Freeman is wearing a crown. And he's talking about, and the crown just looked like something Baron Corbin was wearing. I mean, it just looked silly. Called himself the demo god and the new king of AEW. And then said the Pinnacle is the greatest group. And then, said they should get all of the credit for AEW being number one on cable. And that they broke records in Canada due to Sean Spears. And I was like, why is every time they do anything in terms of ratings, we have to hear about it on TV? Like, what is up with that? Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit about any of this stuff? Anyway, he said no to the rematch, obviously. And then Tully took over. He gave the boys watches and said that they were on the top of the business. They're on the top of the world. Then a horn starts to blare, and here comes, I believe, a golf cart with a hose attached. And there was a little bit of the bubbly on a sign back there. Sammy, Hagar, and Ortiz drove up. They were blowing the horn. And then MJF said no. Once again, like, hey, get out of here. We're not wrestling you. We said no. Then Jericho stands up from the back of the machine or the contraption that they put together, the vehicle of sorts. And his arm is in a sling. And he asks again for a rematch, which MJF said no. He asks one more time. MJF said no again, of course. Then he told Sammy Guevara to hit it. And then Sammy Guevara sprayed the Pinnacle with champagne. The bubbly bath. Sprayed them with champagne. The Pinnacle flopped around, rolled around. Hell, some even ran into the stream. Because, that's a pretty far thing to go. They rolled around in the goddamn champagne. Then afterwards, MJF says, okay, you wanted a rematch? All right, fine. But here's the stipulation. If we, Stadium Stampede, the match you already lost, you lost this last year. And if we win, then the Inner Circle has to disband. And then Jericho says, they kind of, will think about it, but they're going to accept it. They're baby faces. All right. So, I was not happy with this. I'm not happy with people throwing things or spraying people with things. None of this is good. It's all stupid. It's all stupid. For starters, all it took to bait you into giving them another match was them to spray you in champagne. I promise you will dry off. I promise you will dry off. Okay, you will be fine. You got sprayed with champagne, you will be all right. The fact that he would get so riled up after that just seemed nutty to me. It just seemed stupid to me. Now, it also seems silly that you just had a War Games match, and it's the first match. The War Games match is your starter. That's hot-shotting. Hot-shotting 101. So now we got to have another big brawl in a little over 2 or 3 weeks. So within a month, these two groups are going to have 2 matches. And I do remember Tony Khan, didn't he say something to the effect of, we don't have 17 rematches? Oh, I guess you do. I guess you do. Anyway, you got to have the match anyway, right? Obviously, the Inner Circle are probably going to end up winning this time. Of course, they already did the loser has to break up gimmick because they just did it with SCU. So, no idea is original. Nothing about this is an original idea. Just nothing. Obviously, they stole the beer bath for Jericho. And then they're going to take the SCU storyline where if you lose, you got to break up. Just none of this is original, And then they just had a match. But let's just get through this, okay? Let's just get through it. Obviously, I believe that the match will happen and the Inner Circle will likely win. I don't think that they're ready to break up the Inner Circle yet. I just don't believe it. So, but this was painful. MJF's promo was decent as usual. He's not a bad promo. I think he's a little overrated as far as the promo is concerned, but he's solid as far as his intensity and getting across what he has to say. So I did enjoy that, but everything else, I didn't get it. And it also says that, how are they going to do the stadium stampede if Jericho can't wrestle with his busted up arm that we were told is busted up? Also, didn't they just do a busted up arm gimmick with Darby Allen? I'm overthinking it. Anyway, let's talk about Cody. So my boy Cody comes out, Hacksaw Jim Cody. He decides to go on a pro-America rant. He starts talking about, Snoop Dogg and Leonard Skinner shares a jukebox at his house. And that Anthony Ogogo trash talks the United States, but he's living in the United States off an American visa and collecting sweet old American cash. And he says that, in America, we do argue about a lot of things. There is a lot of division, but that makes us who we are. And that our empathy outweighs our anger. And he didn't come here for the England dream. It would have been English dream, but the England dream. And he said, "Oh no, they make great wrestlers," and he named some English wrestlers. Then he says that the United States is the country where an Italian immigrant could come here and be champion and be a hero for 4,000 days. The dream lives here. In 1961, there was segregation. In 2021, my beautiful black wife will... She will give birth to a white, black princess. She will be both, neglecting neither. And then says he's going to fight a go-go at Double or Nothing. And, of course, it was announced that there will be full capacity seating at Double or Nothing. Full crowd. And then he says, but you won't be going against the American Nightmare. No. If you will. You're going to be finding yourself in the ring eye to eye with 300 pounds of blue-eyed soul. You're going to be fighting the American Dream. You understand what I'm saying? If you don't dig this mess, you at the wrong address. Whatever, man. Cody wants to be Dusty for one night. As long as he wears polka dots, I don't care. If he doesn't wear polka dots, I'll be very disappointed. If he wears polka dots, I'll be big thumbs up. Anthony Ogogo is going to get a pretty big match. I'm interested in how that's going to go because the guy has not worked a full match yet. His matches have been basically him jumping people from behind and then punching them in the stomach. Which, of course, begs the question, how are we going to get a full match out of this guy, when he hasn't done anything? But it's another Jade Cargill situation where essentially they kind of keep everything that they do to a minimum and then they build up to a match. And then the match, they have to do a lot more. And sometimes they over succeed. Sometimes they don't. But at least they're trying to say we're going to put Anthony Ogogo's first real match, putting it behind the paywall. So if you want to know how good he is, pay $50. Okay. I always think that it's weird when I see, I think it's weird in 2021 for a British wrestler or an English wrestler to be anti-American, considering how, England and the United States have been allies for like 70 years. We barely say harsh things about each other anymore. Like the worst thing that happens now is they have the breakfast wars, where some American stumbles across the pork and beans and blood sausage that that Brits eat for breakfast, and then they spaz out. That's probably the worst thing that happens now, because there's so much crossover between the two, especially culturally. And it's just kind of how the world is. It's the same thing with Canada. Like, you would think that if it's going to be a foreign country, it has to be like a foreign menace. Like when they did the Rusev thing in the WWE, he's from Bulgaria. Bulgaria is a Russian satellite country. They kind of went with the old Cold War thing. I was like, okay, that was, all right. I don't mind foreign heels. I actually support the idea of the foreign heel. But at the same time, I have to fall back on the most obvious piece of business we got here. I didn't hear Anthony Ogogo say shit, right? I didn't hear him say a damn thing. He ain't say it on TV. Did he say it on TV? I mean, he may have said little things on Dynamite, but it's not like he stood in the ring, and went ham on the United States. And then, Cody had to come and cut this 35-minute State of the Union address in front of, everyone and tear up and everything. Black, white princess. Stop it, Cody. Stop it. So melodramatic. All right, so then we get to SCU. SCU says that they used to be a family. Used to be the Scorpio Sky and Kazarian and Daniels and the Young Bucks. They used to be a family. Now they're disappointed in the Young Bucks' behavior and that they've been influenced by Omega to be cool. Says, now I guess we just have to beat you. So SCU versus the Young Bucks. I actually like the Young Bucks jackets. They were kind of shiny, but they're kind of like red and gold. I thought it was pretty cool. Daniels bladed in this match, and he bled a lot. He bled a lot. Like a lot. And I don't really think did it add a lot to this match? I don't think it added that much, if we're being honest. I just don't think it added that much, if we're being honest. But then we had Kazarian wrestling by himself. There was some intensity there. And then later in the match, you had Matt Jackson, of course, mimicking Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair with the "I'm sorry, I love you" spot, which tells me these guys are like the biggest fans of Shawn Michaels I probably ever seen. And I mean, imitation is a serious form of flattery, dog. I mean, it is what it is, but it was kind of a mockery, kind of. But at the same time, I don't have the energy to go into any details about how pathetic it is, about how weird it is, how they're obsessing over WWE. And that's basically their heel gimmick. Their heel gimmick is mocking WWE. That's dumb. That's a babyface gimmick. That's easy. You got 60 years of history to mock, And that immigrant that Cody was talking about was Bruno Sammartino, for the record, for, young people who might not have known. But whatever. Anyway, Daniels slipped while trying to do the BME, the best moonsault ever. They worked it into the match by saying that it was due to blood loss, which I appreciate. I appreciate that. I think that was Excalibur. He was very, very swift with that by saying, "Oh, he's lost so much blood. He's slipping and falling down." And there was some shit with an aerosol can. I don't know what that was about. I think somebody sprayed somebody in the face with an aerosol can, and somebody got hit with an aerosol can. I was just like, what the fuck is this can doing in the ring, and why is it there? And then they just win with the BTE trigger. So SCU, has to break up. It's over. Then we immediately get cut to Moxley and Kingston backstage, being super tough. I mean, doing the toughest thing I've ever seen them do as far as they threw bags around the room and knocked over stuff. They threw a temper tantrum in a room and knocked over things. They didn't go and beat anybody up. I mean, they knew where they were, right? Like, if you wanted to beat up the Young Bucks, you know where they are. They're in the ring. So why would you go in there and just like turn their bags upside down? You went in there. Now they got a vacuum. Now they gotta, actually get a dust buster and, clean some things up. Now they gotta, re-iron their shirts. I mean, what the fuck? Are you serious? Get the hell out of here with this shit. And then later on, the Good Brothers are back there and they talking up about, hey, you guys need to man up and handle this problem. To which the Young Bucks says that, they're fighting champions. They want to fight the new number one contenders, which is the Varsity Blondes. And then they mocked Brian Pillman for wanting to be like his dad. And then they said that, okay, so then double or nothing. Mox and Kingston, what are you guys doing? So they challenged Moxley and Kingston to Double or Nothing, which I knew was coming. So the Varsity Blondes are gonna get a tag team title match. I don't know if they. I don't think I've ever seen them win a match. If we're being honest, I don't think I've ever seen them win. That there is something special about these guys who just get random title shots, and it's supposed to be about wins and losses and all that stuff. I just have no idea how that works. I just don't. Then we went back to SCU, who said their goodbyes and hugged each other as they bled all over one another, and it was a memorable moment. It was so memorable that they cut away from it immediately. When I say about WWE is that sometimes they let things linger too much and they replay things too much. AEW has the opposite problem. They just move the fuck on. Like something happened. Oh, okay, 3 count. Okay, something else going on. Get right into that. And then it's not even as important as what we're looking at here. SCU as a team has been together for 5 or 6 years. Even going back to when they were the Addiction in TNA, it's even been even longer than that. And it was bad enough that they took Scorpio Sky out of the group without no ceremony. There was nothing said about why Scorpio Sky was being removed from the group. He just left, and now they broke them up and didn't even have. If you're gonna jock WWE, jock the dramatic parts. That's something WWE would have spent some time on, as far as letting that moment build, letting that crowd react, letting people, absorb what just happened. Like sure the heels, and they did it right up to that point. The heels celebrated and danced and got the hell out of there. Right? They didn't hang around and they won and got out of the ring. That's usually what you do with retirements. You win and you get out of the ring, leave the ring to the people who retired or the people who are breaking up. And they did that, but then the camera just moved on. The production staff moved on. So that what could have been a naturally emotional moment between Kazarian and Daniels, 2 elder statesmen in AEW, now have to go their own way, which pretty much means Daniels is done. If we're being honest, he really can't go by himself anymore. It was blown. They threw it away. It didn't mean anything anymore because they cut away from it immediately. Even if they came back to it, you ruined the moment, So if you're going to steal the good parts, that's something WWE would have spent some time on. So Christian Cage, he cut a promo basically saying that Taz has no business critiquing his technique. That at one point Taz was a very bad man. He would get in the ring and drop people on their head and all kind of stuff. But you're not going to do that anymore, Taz, so don't critique me. And then he says he has an open contract next week, and he says that any member of Team Taz needs to show up, and then here comes Matt Seidel, who is, I couldn't believe it, he's even smaller than Christian. I don't know if he was hunched over, if it was just a camera angle, but like Christian is not a big guy, right? Christian is not big. There can be no way for Matt Seidel to be that little. I was floored at the size difference. Anyway, Matt Seidel claimed that he had already signed the open contract and that he's going to win the Casino Battle Royal because Christian already put himself in the Casino Battle Royal. So the Casino Battle Royal is back, which means that there's going to be suits and groups of 5, people entering in groups of 5. Don't get it. Which also means there's probably going to be a surprise entry into the match. This the usual for AEW. So what would have been an interesting piece of business here as far as an open contract to see who was going to come out from Team Taz to wrestle Christian? They just threw that away immediately. Like, nope, no open contract. No open contract, dog. Well, I guess we know it's not Ricky Starks. Now you probably thought I was going to forget and wasn't going to talk about it, huh? No, I'm going to bury it in the middle. Make people listen to this whole damn thing. Ricky Starks apparently broke his goddamn neck in a match with Hangman Adam Page. Now here, check this out. There were some wrestling journalists and in a wrestling magazine, the one with Moxley's face on it. I don't remember the name of it. And they were very, very angry when there was people, I think, that the AEW botches account. And they were talking about specifically a match where I think it was a Darby Allen match recently where he got German suplex and he pretty much landed on his head. And these accounts, all of these fans, they went off, talking about your bitch ass, stop doing this. These people are professionals. They know what they're doing. Nobody's going to get hurt. And there's only so many times you can drop people on their head. It's inevitable. It's these people who have grown up watching New Japan. They think that that's how a fucking suplex is supposed to go. No, you're not supposed to fall on your head and neck ever. Never fall on your head and neck. Do you really want to be like a mid-20s guy with a broken fucking neck? Because that's what I hope that Ricky Stark's neck is not broken. I think they said it's fractured. He said he may be down for like 3 months or something like that. Or a couple of weeks. One or the other. It's not too bad. He was able to, I think they said he wrestled afterwards. But you can't be serious with this shit. People are worried about these wrestlers and some fans are a little overprotective. I get that. But AEW, the shit does not look good. It does not look professional at all. All right? It just doesn't. So you can't be mad when people are like, oh my God, you're not supposed to land on your head like that. And then you're like, Misawa did it. Like, Misawa is fucking dead. Okay? Misawa is dead. Shibata is on the goddamn, he's running the dojo now. Takahashi took a year off from a broken neck. I think that, fans shouldn't be concerned trolling, wrestlers. I can agree with that. I did the video on this when Naito and Ibushi was talking about it. Let them break their necks if they want to. But at the same time, as a fan, you have a right to say that you don't want to see guys break their fucking necks in the ring. And unfortunately, we're probably going to end up seeing a lot of that shit. I remember wasn't it Brian Alvarez that was spazzing out and, Sheamus may have kicked Jeff Hardy a little too hard in the face one time. And he says, I would never work with him. He doesn't even know how to throw a kick. The guy was standing still. I'm like, these guys can't even do suplexes. They can't even get power bombs right. Most of these guys can't even throw strikes. It's unreal. It's unreal. Speaking of power bombs, Orange Cassidy versus Pac. Okay? Number one contender for the AEW World title. At one point in this match, for starters, let's talk about this thing. Orange Cassidy at one point was in peril. He's laid out, and Pac is about to hit the black arrow. Orange Cassidy rolls to the other side of the ring, but doesn't get up. Pac runs to the other side of the ring, climbs the rope again to do the black arrow, and Orange Cassidy rolls underneath him, underneath the ropes, kind of did not give him enough space. And I thought, all right, I guess so. I just kind of like, that's stupid. And it was stupid on Pac's part, because instead of, continuing the match, they just decided to fuck around. So then at one point, Pac does a power bomb, a sit-out power bomb, a Batista bomb. And Orange Cassidy does not get up. He does not get up. Obviously, he couldn't finish the match. I did not see him stand up again afterwards. I don't even think he kicked out of that. He was holding his head. The referee looked, Aubrey went down, spoke to him or whatever. And then we started doing some nonsense. Callis came out to talk to Aubrey. Then Omega attacked Pac from behind. Then, there was, both guys were down. And then for the first time ever, an AEW match had no finish. She counted both guys out. Both Pac was down. Orange Cassidy was down. So, of course, they do the old cliche, oh, nobody won. They both lost. Callis and Omega, they call them both losers, saying they got a night off. Nothing's going to happen. They got a night off. There's no winner. We obviously, obviously they were going to make it a triple threat match, which is what they did. And Omega and Callis, of course, no, we're not wrestling two guys. No, we can't do that. You can't do that. Why do you hate us? And you hate us because you ain't us. And all that stuff. But interesting enough, Orange Cassidy never got back on his feet. I never saw him stand up again. Unless I'm wrong. Maybe he did stand up again. But I don't think he ever got back on his feet after that powerbomb. So, at least three now. Ricky Starks, German suplex. He landed on his feet. He finished the match. But he landed on his feet, and I think he said he wrestled another match after that. But his neck was very in so much pain. Then you had a match in which Darby Allen fell on his head. I think he was mostly all right because he seemed to be Rubber Man. You can't really hurt him. And now you have Orange Cassidy getting hurt with a powerbomb. At least I'm hoping it's a work. But for some reason he didn't. There wasn't much match left. There was a lot of downtime, and I noticed a lot of wrestling journalists didn't spend any time talking about it. They just kind of moved on, like it was supposed to be that way. And maybe they know something I don't. But they also are not talking a lot about the whole Ricky Starks injury. You'd think if somebody got hurt on national TV to that degree on a German suplex, you think people would talk about it, but apparently they're not. Anyway, Hangman Page and the Dark Order. So Hangman Page essentially says to Cage that he should leave. He should leave Taz. Leave all the guys behind. He even mentions Ricky Starks by saying, "Leave Ricky Starks, God bless him," which tells me he knows that something is wrong. So then he says that Cage should challenge him at Double or Nothing, and should fight him at Double or Nothing with nobody's help. Can he beat him by himself? And you know what? I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, we're at the point where the horse has left the barn on Hangman Page. I have, doesn't matter to me if he ever does anything ever. It doesn't matter, right? I think if he really wanted to hurt Cage, he would take the FTW title. Like, take it. Why not? I think that would be the ultimate flag through the chest for Team Taz. Because if they lost Ricky Starks and he's really hurt, like down bad, there's no value to that team anymore. I mean, Powerhouse Hobbs is cool. I've been an advocate for him, but they're not pushing him. He's not going to be the voice or the franchise player of that group. That was Ricky Starks. Unfortunate. So Britt Baker cut a promo with JR, and basically she talked about Sheeta breaking her nose, and that ever since then she's been the baddest bitch on the planet. And that, Sheeta, it's ironic that it's almost poetic that she's the monster that Sheeta made, rather. And that Sheeta kept the division alive during a difficult time, but Baker is the heart, the soul, the pulse of the AEW women's division. And you know what? This all is building up to give Britt Baker the title, which is fine. I don't have no problem with none of this. This was all fine. Britt Baker has come into her own ever since she turned heel. It was a struggle at first, but she did find her voice. She found the character, the role model thing. She's a good mix of entertaining and serious. So Britt Baker is gold. I rocks with her. Thunder Rosa defeated Jasmine Allure. The match was pretty much a squash match. And then Serena Deeb is back. Apparently she's going to be wrestling next week, and she's going to be wrestling Red Velvet. I thought it was weird that the NWA champion is going to be, she was gone for like 3 months. It feels like she was gone forever. It feels like she might have been even gone longer than that. And her first match back is going to be against Red Velvet, who is cringe. I like Red Velvet is what she is, but it seemed like she scraped the bottom of the barrel. Here's somebody you can easily beat. Because who cares? Anyway, Jade Cargill repeated her one line. These pretzels are making me thirsty. She's just saying the same thing in 100 different ways. I'm that bitch. 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 So I did see somebody say something interesting though, that since Selena De La Renta is done with MLW, that they think she might come in and be Jade Cargill's manager. I think that's a good idea. I don't dislike that idea. I also like the Thea Trinidad idea that was thrown out there as Thea Trinidad, aka Zelina Vega. I think that's a good idea too. Now, would I prefer, Zelina Vega to wrestle in Ring of Honor? Yes. And I think she said she was under contract already. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe she'll be in the Ring of Honor women's tournament, which would be cool for me. I like that idea. But I think Thea Trinidad speaking for Jade Cargill would be cool. Selena De La Renta speaking for Jade Cargill would be very cool. It would be a great introduction for Selena, who is a good manager. She's also quite beautiful. Thea is also pretty beautiful. They both look better than Jade. But I think they'd be able to do a good job of putting her over, which is the important thing with a manager. But if she's going to say, I handle my own business, I'm that bitch, I'm that bitch, I'm that bitch, I'm that bitch. I am that bitch. I'm that bitch. I'm that bitch. I'm that bitch. If you're going to keep saying this, I don't see why you need a manager. It's amazing to me that I saw people say, well, clearly because, they have Alexa Bliss doing nothing for 4 weeks. They've lost the plot. They don't know what they're doing with her. Here you have Jade Cargill literally saying the same line for a month and a half. And people are like, I can't wait. It's like, what? I hate to do that whole WWE, AEW thing because it's stupid. But some things you just can't ignore. I cannot ignore that if WWE does not follow up on something every week, then they don't know what they're doing and it's a lost cause. In AEW, you can literally have people doing the same thing, saying the same thing every week. And people are kind of like, hey, I think this is a great idea. I want to pitch some ideas. Like, come on, man. At least pretend to not be biased fucking morons. All right, so let's talk about this main event. Miro versus Darby Allen. So we start this thing with Darby Allen having a vignette. And he takes us to the mean streets of Seattle, Washington, with skulls and zombies. I mean, they didn't show people with heroin needles, but you knew they were there. I saw the ghosts of them, right? I saw the ghosts of the heroin needles. I saw Seattle's a wretched place today. It's wretched. He starts talking about, Miro hasn't done shit since he came to AEW. And that, he starts talking about glass ceilings and the shackles are off. What have you done, Miro? What have you done? I've been underwhelmed by you, Miro. Which, of course, means that he was going to lose. So, Darby Allin, the big mega draw that he is, comes out with Sting. The guy who's got 40 years in the business. I mean, you would think that if Darby's coming out with Sting and then Darby's segments are drawing, Sting's there. But obviously, Sting has nothing to do with Darby Allin being a mega draw. No. They're just keeping them attached at the hip for kicks and giggles. Fuck out of here. Anyway, the match was mostly Miro jumping people from behind. Miro jumped him from behind, beat him up, beat him up, beat him up. He said some stuff into the camera like, am I underwhelming now? Ha! And so this match I thought it was boring, personally. It was a lot of Darby Allin trying to grab a sleeper hold or something like that. He occasionally would burst out with sporadic offense. For instance, that Tope Suicida, when he came through the ropes and that impact, that was good shit, right? Now, that was legit. I'm not even being facetious on that. When he came through that, he came with such velocity and he bounced off Miro. I was like, yes, that was good. It sounded good. They separated like two bullets passing in the night. That shit was awesome. But that was pretty much it. Scorpio Sky jumped Sting from behind earlier in the match. It meant nothing. He got ran off. Well, he left on his own, essentially, or was it the referees that ran him off? Then he came back later after the match, because of course he did. Miro wins with the Cobra Clutch or the Camel Clutch. He pulled himself all the way back, including putting his shoulders down on the mat. So this finish really pissed me off. One, Miro's shoulders were down. The referee should have counted. Two, the Darby, quote unquote, passed out pretty fast, and I know that he was, selling. There was at least one point in the match where he was getting beat up and he reached over to old man Sting and wanted to fist bump him, and him and Sting fist bumped, and then that's when he started to kind of fire up again. So they were trying to tell the visual story of Darby reaching out to Sting, like, Sting, lend me your energy. Sting, please, Sting, help me. Which is fine. And Miro wins. So the referee asked him basically 2 or 3 times, do you give up? Okay, you give up. Yeah, ring the bell. It's like, damn. They're in such a rush, trying so hard to protect this guy. They're trying super hard to protect Darby Allen. You don't need to try to protect people that hard, man. This is because you really end up making everybody look stupid. Or you're trying to. Miro had his fucking shoulders down. He should have been counted. Anyway, I don't understand why Miro had to win with the Camel Clutch. Why couldn't he win with something else? He uses the Machka kick too, He could have used that. He could have used that for the finish. But I don't know. Anyway, Miro wins. When Miro wins the TNT title, so now we're going to finally get to see what he can do. I'm guessing he's going to end a feud with Kip Sabian eventually. But first, he has to deal with Lance Archer. So after the match, Darby loses. Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky jump Sting again. And then here comes, the Lollipop Guild, a.k.a. the Dark Order. They come flooding the ringside area, running the heels off. And then Lance Archer comes out and, I want me a piece of you. To Miro, who says, bring it on, man. Bring it on. Bring it on, man. I'll fight you, man. And we went off the air. That match sucked. Now, I will give AEW credit. I will. Why I don't think this was the best episode of AEW Dynamite. Most of the matches on this show had stakes. I did a video called The Importance of Stakes. It is very important that every match matters. That's what they did here. Every match mattered. There was 3 title matches, right? And a number 1 contenders match. Now, the squash match with Thunder Rosa and Jasmine Allure, that didn't mean anything. But sure, the 2 of the 4 matches with stakes were pretty obvious. We knew the Young Bucks weren't going to lose the tag team titles. And we knew that Moxley was not going to lose the U.S. title. We knew that. But it's still good to have matches with stakes. This is something that WWE is woefully mistaken when they think that you can just sit and watch a match with no stakes. You have to have matches with stakes. There has to be a reason why people are fighting. AEW does that well. Well, they did it well tonight. Next week, there'll probably be a 15-minute match between 2 people who never even seen each other before. And they did a decent job of building up Double or Nothing by building up the stakes for those matches. So I can't complain. Did I enjoy every match? No, I didn't enjoy the main event. I didn't really care about the SCU match or the Nagata match. Pac and Orange Cassidy was a match that I was kind of looking forward to, not because I like either one, but because I wanted to see which one of them they were going to choose to wrestle Omega. And then they copped out and did the triple threat match, which I saw people, saw some journalists say, "Oh, WWE doesn't know what they're doing, so they get a triple threat match," and then they were jumping up and down on the couch for this. It's the same idea, you know. It's just like when they were throwing tomatoes on Raw, and people said it was the worst thing ever. And now, you know, the inner circle is spraying people with champagne, and it's the best thing ever. You know, that kind of stuff is frustrating, and you just can't ignore it. But I didn't enjoy that shit. You know, there was very hard for me to enjoy stuff on this show because it was almost immediately followed up with some silly shit. You know, but that doesn't mean that it's complete and total basura. You know, I still like the idea that they had stakes on these matches, that they did a decent build, or at least they tried to, for Double or Nothing. I think the Go-Go and Cody match is not a pay-per-view match, but whatever. You know, Cody thinks that everything he does should be super promoted. He's going to be Dusty for a night. All right, he might as well just wear a wig and, you know, wear a fat suit and challenge him to a bunkhouse brawl or something. I mean, well, who cares, man? But that's AEW Dynamite. Miro winning was the right move. They didn't do anything with the arm, as far as I know. I think at one point Darby Allen may have sold the arm temporarily, but it wasn't. It didn't feel like it was a major part of the match. And plus, I just think the match was too slow. It was just very generic to me. But let me know what you guys think. Enough about me. It's been 48 minutes or whatever the hell. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to this channel. If you want to help the channel grow, then please go to Subscribestar or to the Cash App and give money. I would appreciate that. Also, you know, so I'll talk to you guys later, and have a nice day, man. Peace out.